Okay, so new topic. Why do I get all shitty with plumbers and HVAC and all the guys in the trades? To be honest with you, it's because there needs to be some cleanup done. All right? There's too many little pissy ass little bitches in the system. And I'm sorry, maybe this is the Gen X person in me talking, but you know what? I don't give a shit. I grew up in all the things that I did. I was always told a lot of times, you know, Pete, you do great stuff, but you've got very little tact. You've got very little panache in how you do things. And it's like, you know what? I don't have time, okay, to sit there and placate your feelings on things. All right? And this is something that pisses people off. And they sit there and go, you know, it's you catch more flies with honey and you do this and that and the other. And I've tried to explain this a million times before. But the simple fact of the matter is if I have to placate shit for you, I don't care. If you can't just hear something, okay, and you've just got to be super negative and throw it out and you're not willing to listen and you're not willing to do that, then I'm not willing to talk to you. I'm not. If you're that much of a simpleton piece of shit, you can't hear something that might challenge your reliable beliefs that, oh my God, this is the code and it's supposed to be done this way, and I heard it was for this and that, and oh my God, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, there is no fucking reason for expansion tanks, okay? And if you're bitching at me and saying, oh, well, that's this, and the other guys are sitting there saying, oh, well, you shouldn't be working on gas without a certification and blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but every single one of these comments, you sound like one of those college little fucktards, okay, who sit there and go, oh, I'm dealing with these so unevolved idiots. They don't know any better. They're such simpletons. They're so crass and they're so ew. I'm looking at you and I'm like, wow, that's what you're doing, okay? Forget the fact that, you know, you're sitting there and trying to chastise me for challenging the authority of your code, okay? But I sit there and I show you, hey, this doesn't work like that. So why are you trying to feed me this bullshit, okay? And so you come up with some other excuse and another excuse and another excuse and another excuse, and it turns into this argument of you have to win the argument instead of, hey, we could make shit better. The latest one was the one on the HVAC with the AC. And this, I got a couple of comments from guys on this, and I'll review it real quick. Pause. So this was the idea. Imagine you have your heater and you have your AC coil down on the bottom. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just pull that out? And in order to pull it out, you have to disconnect the lines. And I said, okay, well, you have two lines. You have your high and your low, and you're saying, okay, what if you had two valves and a union? Okay, so imagine this part of the thing was a nut and it was free and it would just cinch in, and that's where you'd get your little piece, and you just open your valves. Now, the complaint I constantly got, okay, was, do you know how much air you're going to keep adding into the system by doing all of that? And it's like, okay, first of all, okay, you're talking about that much air, okay? Look at those two stems. How fucking far apart are those? And you're talking about that much air, all right? That's not a problem. Even after, like, okay, what? 20 times, once a year, you clean that thing out. If you actually did it once a year, let's say you did, once a year, you added that little tiny of air in there, okay? That would be one thing. But the thing is that you're talking to people who are supposedly knowledgeable enough on HVAC that they know that by adding a bunch of air, or adding even just, you know, a bit of air, doesn't have to be a lot, just a bit, but it's going to be a lot more than that, okay? That if you add some air to the system, it's going to cause problems. That the more air you add, the less efficient it is. So even just a tiny bit, you're going to lose, you know, a penny or whatever. But the more you lose, it gets to the point where, yeah, shit starts failing because you've got air in there. But they're smart enough to know that, but they're throwing an idea at you that, oh, we can't do this because you're going to add in air. If you're actually HVAC, you know how to use a manifold, okay, with the hoses, okay? You get 3 hoses. One's for your tank and your vacuum. The other 2 go high and low. How the fuck do you bleed the air out of those hoses? You know fucking well how to do that. You're telling me that you wouldn't just leave this open a little and just crack it so it blows the air out and then you tighten it? That's standard. But you're throwing that at me as if you don't even know that's how you do it. And you're just throwing a comment out in order to say, oh, we shouldn't do that idea. Okay? Really? That's interesting. Okay? You are more willing to sit there and pretend you are a fucking idiot. You're willing to make a public comment that makes you seem like a complete moron when it comes to AC if you don't know how to fucking bleed your goddamn lines. Okay? You're going to sit there and throw that out there to make yourself look like an idiot rather than say, hey, maybe that's a good idea. Or, you know, as long as you were bleeding the lines or making something and saying, hey, no, you've got to fight against it because why? Because I don't have the tact of being all nice and friendly for your feelings. That's what it boils down to. And I'm not going to be nice for your fucking feelings, okay? When I see shit and it's fucked up, I'm going to say something, okay? Now, I've told them, I've sat there and said, look, if you're not going to go bitch to the manufacturers, okay, you know, whatever. You got to do your job. I can see situations where, you know, somebody's just trying to hold on to their job, and if they bitch too much, they lose jobs. That's great. I understand that, okay? But for the most part, that is not what's going on with everybody. What's going on with everybody is they're just being quiet because they're too lazy, okay? And I'm sorry, but that's what it is. There's a lot of guys who, they're in the trades and they're like, look, I'm just doing this to be happy with doing what I do. I'm not here to invent the new thing. I just want to come out, do my job, maybe find a little bit way to make more money. And that's great too, okay? You're in the grind, okay? It's no different than playing a video game and you've got to sit there and do a bunch of things until you level up to a certain level and then you can go out and do stuff. So you're grinding away the time to build up your... I get it. You're doing that. And if you want to live your entire life like that, that's fine too. Okay? But no offense, that's not much different than being one of those simpleton idiots over there who want to bitch and say, I want everybody to take care of me, and I want everybody to do this, and I want everybody to follow the rules, and I want everybody to do this and that and the other. You know? It's pretty sad to me. You know, I can appreciate that they don't want to do it, and I can see situations. If you need me to sit there and constantly say every time I turn around, I'm not talking about all plumbers or all HVAC. I'm talking about some, okay? I'm talking about some. I'm a veteran. You want to sit there and say, you know, there's vets who do this and that and the other. There's vets who screw up. You know, in the military, they're speeding down the thing, and I'm like, I don't speed. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not making people look at us and making us look like shitheads. They're like, yeah, but they do. And it's like, you know what? They're right. They're right. In the military, we have this big thing, and we get really irritated when we get out. And that thing is that we are really self-enforcers of our own ethics. We are huge on enforcing our own ethics and making sure that we don't fuck up. We hate judges because they don't. We hate cops because they don't. We love cops at the same time because there's good ones. You know, and in the same way, I can sit there and go, you know, I love guys in the trades. Oh God, they work so hard. They do all this stuff. But then there's just the real fucktard who sits there and goes, oh, well, you know, I don't want to do that because, then it makes it easy for the DIY guy. Really? Because it doesn't matter whether it's easy or hard. The DIY guy is going to fucking figure it out. And if you make it hard for him, he's just going to blow shit up. So what would you rather have? Would you rather do something that actually improves the ease and safety for you and him, and he doesn't blow himself up? Okay? Or do you want to just blow him up because you just figure that way you're going to make more money? Because trust me, if he's dead, you're not making money anyway, are you? No. So the idea that you're sitting there and constantly looking at that guy to say, oh, I'm so much better than you. Oh, I'm so much better than you. You're doing the Jerry Springer. Oh, I'm so much better than all those people on Jerry Springer. Oh, my life is so much better. You're being the moral busybody. Okay? That's what I look at. Who was it? It was somebody. I think it was C.S. Lewis, I think, had a quote about busybodies. And basically, they are the worst fucking people because all they do is sit there and they're trying to control everybody based on their personal morals and decide what's better for you, okay? And they're going to tell you what to do, and they have all of this passion set in to do that. They're not actually trying to make things better. They're trying to make things better based on their personal morals. And it's like, okay, well, guess what? I don't want to do that. Like I said, if you want to live your life saying, look, I just want to grind through life. I want to spend the rest of my time with my family, and as long as I'm grinding enough to make enough for a home, then I'm happy. Or grinding enough to be middle class, I'm happy. I don't have to be the 1% rich people, okay? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with being like that, okay? But just remember that doing the slow grind, just barely getting by all the time, you have to always do that damn near to the point where you're dead, okay? So you need to do a little bit better than that and actually do some forward thinking. And some of that has to do with how could I make shit better, okay? Not enough people sit there and think, how do I make this better for the next generation? My kid is going to grow up and I want him to be in an environment in this economy that is doing better than it was before. And I got to tell you, plumbers, HVAC, appliances, how are you very much better than before? Tell me. Go get a water heater from 1930. It's got the TMP. It's got all the shit. How are you doing anything any better? Are you really that much? Oh, we got more insulation on it and we put this thing over here and we put straps on the wall for earthquakes and tornadoes, even though I'm not in an earthquake or tornado area. Oh, it's on there. You know, we've got all these codes for people in other areas of being applied to everybody. Oh yeah, this is so great and wonderful. There has not been any advancement in the technology. Like I said, the boards on those heaters, they are, I don't expect you to understand how boards work and electricity and all the rest of that. Electricians have a much better idea on it, but even most of the ones, especially ones working in buildings and things like that, they don't quite understand circuit boards. But it's easy, okay? It really is. Gonna let you go. It's getting long. So yeah, I don't have time for being nice and polite just because you're in the trades. I'm not here to placate your feelings and tell you, oh, this and that and the other. And if you want to sit there and call me out and say, oh, I caught this guy in something stupid, cool. Is that your whole goal, is to sit there and say, oh, I found some guy, I one-upped somebody? Or is your goal actually to do something better? Is your goal to actually understand the point that I'm making on doing an analogy or something like that? What does that have to do with? You don't understand analogies, no. Or you take the analogy too far. It's like you're too busy trying to win an argument. You're not even trying to do this. crazy.